Hello, I'm Harry. I have been since since I'm a British citizen. Since I'm a British citizen, I kind of have been, in the news. What's been very, very prominent lately has been the immigration, and I kind of, it gets more and more worrying every single day with the lack of control the government seems to have, and one of the problems we seem to have is that a a high percentage of those coming in illegally into our country are doing crimes that are utterly terrible, that are hurting you know children and mothers. And what's really interesting is that there are clips of police and other people, calling calling people like myself who are protesting. Although I've not been to a protest, I'm where I live. It's there aren't protests nearby, but they're calling people who have opinions like mine far right, and 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 then you look at the people that they're calling this, and people that are getting interviewed are mothers scared for not only themselves and their own safety, but for their children's safety. And there's been humongous protests throughout the UK against this illegal immigration and these people being put into hotels, which are 3, 4 star hotels, and they're getting money every week. They're getting food. They're getting everything that they want, and then they seem to respect us by committing not only the crime of entering the country illegally and not going through the proper coursework, procedures and everything, but they, I don't know why I said coursework, but going through the proper paperwork, and then they commit further crimes, and such a small minority are committing, a humongous percentage of the crimes of a more conjugal nature. I'm new to YouTube and using this language, so this video might be not so great for some people. But I wanted to make this for a few days. Because a few days ago, I was, well, okay, let's go back a few months. A few months ago, I found a video called A Religion of Peace. And it shows, it puts Islam in not too great of a light. It shows some of the things that a lot of the very, very extremist Muslims are doing. And it really does, it showed something in it from a debate, and it's that debate that I want to talk about, because I think this thing is quite revealing of something much deeper, and explains a little bit more about why we are having some of the problems that we are having. Now, I'm gonna say that I don't have a problem with. There are so many Muslims that I don't have problems with, and there's people that I've worked with and work with, and they're great people. They're lovely people. They're just fantastic. But it seems like a lot of the people, like I've seen, I watched the GB News, where they go to France and they see people, and it seems like the main kind of people who are coming into the country are people of an Islamic background, and then and they're the ones being put up in these hotels, and it's almost as if we are inviting them to come in because we're not doing anything about it. And let's just get into this, right? I wanted to show you this. There's this debate with a one channel called Inspiring Philosophy. I'm not too sure of the fellow's name. He's a Christian, and the other guy is on the channel The Muslim Skeptic, and it's and his name is Daniel Hekikachu. I think his name is. as much as I feel disrespected, I don't want to disrespect anyone else and get their name wrong. But I wanted to show a clip from this and then show you what some of the comments are on this Muslim channel. So this person is a Muslim debater. He is someone who is very good at speaking, very good at rhetoric, and a lot of people are behind him. He's got just under 500,000 subscribers, and he's not the only. There are others who have more subscribers, who have more followers, but this debate was very interesting. The topic of the debate is minor marriage acceptable? So let's just look at this now. So this is this. I've just got to a part of the debate which I wanted to show you to kind of give you a taste of what they're talking about. So this comes to relations between adults and children, and I don't even know why this is even a topic of conversation. The Christian guy is, it is wrong. It is bad. It causes harm to the child, and it causes, not only physical but mental, emotional, and everything else. And the Muslim is, and I will say this. I will actually give some props for this one point he made, which taken on its own makes complete sense. And the point he makes is, if when a child reaches puberty, they all of a sudden have all these sexual desires, and pornography, fornication, and other things like this are not aren't moral. So giving them the outlet of marriage, making it a more moral form of use of their sexual organs, makes it kind of like it makes it better. And when I heard this, it was like, yeah, that actually I can see the logic there. But that's only if you take it in isolation. And if I was to make more comments on this, I'm sure that this video would get flagged, and I'm not monetized, so it couldn't get demonetized, but it would make for a very difficult thing. But there's this point where the Christian debater makes a point about precocious puberty, and he's going to explain it, but I'll explain it just now. The idea of precocious puberty is when so precocious means developing earlier than is average, normal, expected. And then puberty, obviously, when the body matures and things start to grow and hair grass starts to grow, and I'm sure you're intelligent enough to understand what that is. So putting them both together, it's puberty that seems to come a lot quicker than before. So we're going to listen to a little bit from this Daniel, this Muslim fella, and then we're going to see this person push back with this comment, and we're going to see what this Muslim dawah preacher put us out there. And well, let's just have a look.
Imminent fertility, the period, menarche, then that will maximize, because you secured the female right at the beginning, the start of when she will potentially.
But you can still have sex before you start maximizing fertility, right?
When the body is physically mature, according to Islamic law.
Do you know what precocious puberty is?
Yes, I do.
Okay, what is it?
It means starting puberty unusually early, like
Can
beyond
you have,
averages.
Is there anything in Islam that prevents you from a man marrying a 5-year-old that started precocious puberty?
No, marriage can happen, you can arrange a marriage even as an infant, but that doesn't mean that sex is allowed.
But could a man have a marriage to a 5-year-old consummated if she started precocious puberty?
If she starts showing signs of physical maturity, then yes, that's permissible, as I stated. That's
what about
the
age
principle.
4?
If there are signs
3.
So this is something that becomes biologically impossible, because precocious
I have a
puberty,
study
there are
that shows
no.
it goes as early as 11 months.
All right, well, that's something that the parents would not. The thing about Islamic marriage is that parents are involved at these ages. And when you look at the marriage of the Prophet, peace be upon him, to Aisha, her parents were involved, and so she was not living with the Prophet, peace be upon him, even though she was married to him. So the parents have oversight, and sometimes a qadi or a judge can have oversight if the guardians are not capable, to make sure that the rights and the physical well-being of a child are not, or a minor, are not harmed by that marriage.
What about, because you've tried to just...
Okay, let's stop the video there. Right, so that clip, that was the clip that I saw in the edit that I mentioned at the beginning. And I can't even understand why, we even having to have this. It's so obvious that, I don't want to have to spell it out, but if a fully grown person puts, and his organ enters a underdeveloped person's organs, I don't know how to make this as PG as possible and make it YouTube unrestricted, but that destroys it. That destroys that little person. That person can, could, bleed, could, and it's not even could, they will. And then, and the difference in sizes make it almost inevitable that once that happens, that young person's ability to become pregnant, assuming it's male to female, female child, they can't have kids anymore. They, and even if they could at that time, they're not physically able to. They're not physically mature completely, and then they're bringing another person in, and that's going to bring physical mental developmental disorders into these children's children, and this is just so it's so ethically and morally wrong. And this preacher, scholar, I'm not sure what he would call himself, is saying, yeah, this is fine. This is, as if the parents are okay with it, it's it's cool. Do it, do what you want to do. And and he brings up the point that people have been doing this for years, and it's a modern liberal thing that Christians have accepted, and it was never a Christian thing in the first place. There are events in the Christian timelines, and famously, some English monarchs, they had marriages to children. The evidence suggests that those weren't sexual; they were more, political. But even then, that's not who we go. Okay, this is who we're basing our morals off of. This is an isolated case of someone that we're not like. They were in power, but that was not normal. That was isolated, and that was something that we reject as something that is good for humanity and good for that child and good for him. It was political. It was to make sure there was an alliance. But what we're talking about here is the actual consummation, and that is humongously awful. Now, I originally watched this video on a different channel. I watched this video, I think, on the actual Debaters channel, or the Inspiring Philosophy channel of this guy in the light colored jeans. I didn't know that this was on. I didn't even know this guy had a channel. I didn't know. And then I came across this version of it the other day, and if you look at the other two videos, the comments aren't mixed. They're like, this is awful, this is terrible, this is bad. But when we scroll down here, it says there are 7,000 comments, and this wasn't Muslim versus Christian, it was Muslim versus liberal, Christians try not to undermine your own religion and conform to a modern liberal interpretation of morality. Challenge impossible. Big props to Daniel holding himself under immense pressure like that. Plus a crowd that is mostly against him, a topic seen so negatively in society. I'm amazed. May Allah reward you big. People will remember Daniel for being fearless in defending our deen. I do not know of a single one of the celebrity imams who have defended the religion in the way Daniel does. Perhaps it's because the celebrity imams lack the intellectual capacity to debate issues, which has led to them to they themselves being convinced by the liberal feminist agenda, causing huge confusion for the ummah. And I could go on that, Allahu Akbar, thank you for everything you do. This guy paid, $5, mashallah, may Allah sharpen Brother Daniel's tongue and allow him to continue to dismantle these egregious, illogical, malicious ideologies. These people think it's a malicious ideology to not have an intimate conjugal relation with a child. Like, I can't believe this is something that is even like a thing. Like, the reason I wanted to connect these two things together, the immigration problem in the UK and this, what we are seeing here is a humongous support for the, a humongous support. I'm just going to put my microphone down a little bit, maybe probably change a little bit there. A humongous support for this abuse of children. For most of humanity, there weren't consent laws. There weren't laws like that. It didn't ever really come up. And as we get into the 18th, 19th century, that we start to see them around, especially in the Western world, because we saw, we're going to take a child and we're going to marry them and we're going to and it was the child clearly didn't know what was going on, didn't understand what it was getting into, what they were getting into, and then, bam. And so it's new in the law, but there is no evidence to suggest that this has been something inside any community. Going as, we took, what he was talking about was in the example that is given is, the Prophet Muhammad's, I think, second or third wife, Aisha, who was 6 when they got married, and then 9 when they consummated the marriage. This isn't even pre-teen. This is pre-double digits. So I really find this just awful, and I just think, why are we inviting these people into the country? It's just not great. This is, and the more that come in, 1,000 a day, just less than 1,000 a day coming in, this is just going to get a bigger and bigger problem. And I've seen, there's interviews on interviews of there was an interview I listened to a few months ago. I forget which news station it was, but this man, these Muslims took this young girl and befriended her, made her, seduced her into thinking that this is, that we're boyfriend and girlfriend, and then they started to misuse and abuse her, and a number of guys would have intercourse with her, and the way they did that was they got her hooked onto hard drugs, and they were the source of those drugs, so she had to keep coming back because she was addicted. and this girl ended up dying, and this father's like, nothing happened to these people. Like it's and if something did happen, it was like they got very short time. It's bonkers. It's crazy. It's evil, and the word evil has fallen out of the common tongue because it has a religious connotation. People have moved away from religion, and they've gone, and they've gone to a more secular idea, and that seems like a very stupid. It is absolutely evil. It is, it seems to me like we have a government that is either consciously or unconsciously killing, sacrificing children, and I want to give them the benefit of the doubt that they don't. Not all of them know the severity of this thing, and the ones maybe or maybe they have pressure from outside funding resources where money comes in. That money would stop if this became public, and that's why it's more complicated. That doesn't stop. That doesn't change that it's evil, and this is going to come to an end one way or another. But there are people becoming more and more radical, and this terrifies me. I've wanted to make this video for a while. Let's end the video there. I don't want to be all doom and gloom. This is I'm kind of, I remember years ago I wanted to make YouTube videos, and I did try, and it's, you got to make videos every day, every week, every month, and you got to do this. I don't think that's true. I think, I want to make videos as and when I see and hear things and feel things that I want to talk about. So this was one of those things. I'm not married yet. I have a girlfriend, but I'm not married. I want to have kids, and I don't want to. I want to have kids. I'm having kids no matter what, and I'll protect my kids. But I don't want to bring kids up around people who have this idea that my kids are fair game to them. It's I've consumed a lot of God Logic videos, David Wood videos, and the evidence I've seen is overwhelmingly not great for this religion to succeed in a Western society. And if it does succeed, we're over. I have no problem with Muslims having their own space and being able to live here. I have no problem with that. But the moment they get a large minority, they become a large minority, which they're getting very close to. It seems like then it's fair game for them to do things. But I said I'd end the video, but I'll end the video on this: that this does not mean in any way and I'm going to promote a very Christian outlook. I'm a sinner. I'm awful. I do terrible things, and I'm saved by, the love God has and the grace He has for me, and my showing of appreciation for this. These people potentially are our future brothers and sisters. Just because they don't respect us does not mean that we should not respect them. And having a problem with Islam is not the same as having a problem with Muslims. Muslims are people. Islam is an idea. So I pray that the governments become stronger. I hope that God intercedes for us. He acts on our behalf, and he brings an end to this, so that we can, flourish again and stop this evil idea of having children being hurt. And they're married to us. Okay, it's just so stupid. I don't know what the government's doing. I want Keir Starmer to watch this video. I want the government to know what's going on. And this is right here. It's on YouTube. This isn't like out there somewhere. This isn't hidden. This is open for everyone to see. So let's put an end to it. Anyway, if you've got to the end of the video, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you taking the time. You know what to do. Subscribe, like, comment. If you're going to comment, why not answer the question? How can we act in line with what God wants, which is to not hurt children? How do we solve this problem? How do we, what do we need to do to get the government to realize that this is a humongous issue, and the most innocent among us are at risk? So well, let's answer that in the comments. I'd love to hear and I'd love to respond, and I will see you next time.